Hey, it's Ellie. Welcome back to another video, or hello if you are new. Today I am back in Summit Sanctuary, starting a very long 3-part project. So this is going to be part 1 of the Capybara Spa. So I do actually finish kind of a section of the spa, or a specific element of the spa each episode, so you will still see some cinematics at the end, but it is a huge habitat. It's probably, I think it is actually the largest habitat I have in the game, maybe with the exception of the Peafowl golf course habitat, because obviously the golf course has to have 9 holes of golf to account for. But yeah, this habitat took me a long time. Also, I forgot to mention in the previous episode where I was doing the palace cat habitat, but I actually built that right in the middle of building this capybara spa. It came out as I was working, it being the zookeeper pack, came out as I was working on the capybara spa. I kind of dropped everything to put palace cats in my game immediately, so you will have already seen some of this exterior stuff, like this hedge path line, which is right next to the palace cat habitat. So in case you're wondering why things seem out of order, it's because they are. It just didn't make sense to have a palace cats in the middle of my 3-part series on capybaras. So basically, the spa that I'm building, the idea is that it is, you know, like a resort spa. So it has, mostly it's got to focus on massages and like working with a masseuse privately, but I've also have like steam baths and things like that to kind of simulate other spa experiences. It's kind of hard to make a real spa in this game with the items that we have. It's just, it doesn't lend itself all that well to it, so I did my best, but it's still, as I said, mostly what you'll see are the massage tables and waiting areas, and then like mini pools or mini swim areas. And then I did use a couple of the containers to make like something you would have a mud bath in, I don't know. But like not an in-ground one, it's just like a little tub, right? So I don't know how realistic it looks, but I think from a distance you definitely get the idea. And I was able to use some of the capybara enrichment items in the habitat to add a little bit more utility, I guess, to the spa feel. And it turned out, oh my god, you have no idea. So I'm gonna post a picture with minor spoilers on the screen right now so that you can see the capybara in all its glory sitting under the steam pipe enrichment item in front of this building, which is completed in the picture. It is so adorable. I can't stand it. Oh my goodness. They come and they go into the water and they just kind of sit, right? So what I did was I had a little, I think it's called a sun shelf, I'm not exactly sure, but in a pool you've got this little stepping area where maybe it's got half a foot of water, maybe up to a foot, but usually it's very shallow, and it's meant for like sunbathing or putting the beach chairs, like the lounge chairs, in the water, and then you can kind of sit and it's a little bit cooler that way to sit like in the water with the shade. I used to work for, frankly, a very rich family who, as a nanny for that family, and they custom built a pool with one of these sun shelves in it, and it had a spot for the umbrella and everything. Crazy. So I built a couple of those in front of this building, and the capybaras, they actually walk down and they sit in the little sun shelf under their steam pipe, and they just enjoy the water. And it is, as I said, so cute. Just so cute. It really is just exactly the feel that I wanted for this spa area. And that's why I knew when I was like, what animal would be in the spa? You know, initially I was like, maybe a peacock, but peacocks are better at the golf course. I feel like they would get in the way less than any other animal that you might have in a golf course. And then I was just looking through the animals, like, what chill animal do I want in this spa? And definitely the capybaras. They are just the perfect animal for a spa habitat. I've also got the giant anteater and tortoise, and I've again forgotten to look up which tortoise I have in the habitat with them, but I think it's the Galapagos tortoise, but I'm not sure. So anyway, there's a lot of animals in this habitat. There's a lot of baby turtles right now that I can't get rid of because they take forever to mature. So there's like a lot of baby turtles. I think there's babies of everybody in my zoo now, all my animals. So I definitely need to go through and like manage the population completely, cull all the animals that I don't want in the final product. I'll probably, by the end, I will probably end up getting rid of the mating pairs, and I will just have bachelor groups, because that seems better. But like I said, I just like the babies, so that's why I put them in for now. So you know, eventually I will probably just get rid of the mating pairs and keep like a single sex group with some of the babies from that group, whatever, you know, whatever the animal is more inclined to have in a bachelor group. Anyway, I should probably talk about the build a little bit. So yeah, this is the lounge. Basically, the idea is that if you didn't rent a private space, then you would come here for your spa experience. I made a little area with like massage tables and what have you, and then I made a waiting area. It's got 2 exhibits in it. I put a snake in there, and I don't recall which one I put in there, but I think it's the green one. One of the green ones. Actually, I don't know, it's probably a South American one. I think I tried to stick with the theme of this habitat, and the capybaras are from South America, pretty sure. So yeah, massage table, waiting area, exhibits, and eventually, I mentioned this in a previous episode, but eventually I want to put a counter in this area. As I was kind of looking at it, especially editing this speed build section, I definitely felt like it was missing a front counter at the, you know, towards the entrance. So that's going to be added at some point, but I will probably not add it. Yeah, I was gonna say I won't add it before I do the cinematic for this episode, but honestly, I think I actually might, because I'm pretty sure I'm just gonna grab and copy the one of the front desks that I've already built, because I think it'll look nice in here. So yeah, you may see the front desk at some point. The main thing with this lounge is the huge set of windows and view of the habitat. Oh, there's also bathrooms in here, so I'm really hoping that by putting the bathrooms in the back of this lounge area, the guests will choose to route all the way up through. I think it should be okay. We have a good feeling about this one. I don't think we're gonna have any issues. And hopefully they use this little overhang pathway that I did above the water, because it's a really cute little viewing platform. I don't think they're gonna end up using it though, unfortunately, because it's a walkthrough exhibit and they have so many other options to view the animals from on the ground. I don't see why they would route to the edge of that path, but it's possible. It's possible, but not likely, I would say. So we'll see. But they should go into the lounge building, because there are bathrooms back there. So hopefully all that routing works. It's always like, I feel like no matter how well I build something, if the guest routing doesn't work, then it just feels a little pointless, even though it's not. Because it still looks good, it just, you know, doesn't have any guests in it. Which is just a bummer, you know. I wish the routing was a little better. I wish the guests were more inclined to go to some of the elements that the zoo developers actually put in the game for the guests, you know? Like those little interactive stands, the one that does the sounds and have you, the height measure ones. I can't think of what to call them right now, but anyway, they're little guest interactable items, and the guests don't use them unless they are literally on the way to an animal, and that's kind of frustrating. Like, why wouldn't the guests just choose to route on their own to these things when you put them in the game for the guests? I don't know what else to say about it. It's just frustrating at times. So that's where we're at with. But back to the build. I had a heck of a time with this building. This is probably the weirdest shaped building I've ever made in the game, and you guys just already saw my concert hall and the lemur house and all these other buildings that I've already made. The entrance, which is like a semicircle of sorts, but an uneven semicircle at that. This building is crazier than all of those things because it is curved in the weirdest way that I wanted it to be. But boy, did it make building difficult. I just really wanted just this gentle curve in the front of the building, and somehow I managed to get most of the path to work through the building. It took forever. I don't know, I think I mentioned this a long time ago, because you might be wondering why there was pathing and why there was like some framing in this area already. I spent some time, not right away at the beginning of my zoo, but somewhere probably within the first month of starting this zoo, I went through and I just kind of wanted to plan out some of the habitats that I was going to make and frame the buildings. So I went through and I kind of made a mock-up of my zoo, but in the actual zoo. And so that way when I go to a new area, I can look at the path and the sort of framing of a building that I did and remember what I thought would look good there. And especially if I had any kind of reference photo, then I would more easily be able to recognize which reference photo I had been maybe wanting to use at the time. And then naturally I tend to go off them at some point because you can't make everything a perfect recreation in this game. But yeah, so I mocked up the zoo, and that's why it kind of started with this path, and you didn't get to see me build pathing for this particular building, and it's because I did it months and months ago. At this point, probably over a year ago. And it just, you know, it just took a long time. I knew that it was going to be boring and probably very tedious to watch me try to map out this zoo, so I didn't record any of that. Plus, I was still kind of getting back into the swing of recording, so I didn't want to put that extra pressure on me, honestly, because I wasn't sure if I was going to end up sharing this zoo or not. I felt like I was, because here's the thing. I think I started like 2 or 3 zoos the year before. And I felt like I was getting better at figuring out what I actually wanted a zoo to look like at the beginning and then kind of working through it, but I wasn't good at planning still. So I would always get some point into the zoo and realize that like I made everything too close, or I made everything too far away, or I just don't like the way the zoo flows because I'm kind of doing it on, you know, as I go, and so it doesn't look cohesive in any way. Like, one thing I really, really tried and I feel like succeeded, I really like the way the zoo is laid out, is that it is laid out in a similar way to a real zoo, in the sense that you start at the entrance, you pick a path, you go all the way through that path. There's very little deviations as you go through the path, and when you finally get to the end of that path, you're back at the entrance. So that is the setup of this zoo. Obviously, there's slight deviations as you go through, like, you know, this is a walkthrough habitat, and so you can spend all your time here, and this is one of the only sections that right before this walkthrough habitat has an alternate path, but it's not, it's like a teeny tiny detour, right? So if you pick one path, then you can circle around. You could either go through this habitat right away, or you could go down the detour, then take the long way around and end up at this habitat for the end, the last thing that you see before you're back at your original destination. And then all you would have to do is slightly backtrack along the detour, and then you find the junction to continue on. So it's hopefully not confusing to navigate. I know that's tends to be an issue with some of these zoos. You know, if you watch some people tour zoos, like Delay Designer, for instance, she always seems to get lost in the zoos if there aren't clear directions, or if there isn't, like, for the most part, a single pathway to take. And frankly, the kind of single round trip is, I feel, the standard in most zoos. So yeah, this is the overhang that I was talking about, that I'm hoping guests will go on, but probably won't. because I don't see them realistically going out there. I did think about putting a vista point there, but I just couldn't hide it well enough, so I decided not to in the end. Let me tell you something amazing that happened while I was doing this with these my custom railing, okay? So I made this custom railing, and I, you know, started at one end, and I just went around the border of my path to get the railing in, and then, as you might have seen, at some point I decided that I wanted just the metal post to also be the support for the railing, so I, you know, angled one to go down, and I just happened to put an even number of railing pieces down as I made the railing. And then when I put one of the posts vertically and then the second post vertically, I chose exactly the right amount of space so that the interval of the vertical posts was even all the way around. I hope that made sense, but I had a little moment of, wow, that worked out so well and I didn't even plan it, kind of thing. Just happened to be perfect. And I struggled a little bit with what to do with the border of the path, right? Because it sticks out past the white mud wall that I wanted as part of the border. But as I was putting the pieces down, I looked at it and I kind of liked it. I kind of liked having the border outside the mud wall to kind of break it up, and I've definitely seen something like that, especially once I put just wooden posts on around it as well to kind of stick out. It just feels different, but not crazy. As I said, it feels like something I've seen before, but not something that I've seen a lot in Planet Zoo. So hopefully everybody else thinks it looks nice as well, otherwise. Yeah. I just didn't want the curb to be on the inside of the white mud wall. So if you're standing on the path, I didn't want to be able to see the curb on the path. It's fine if it was outside, but I didn't want to see it from the actual path, which is why I put it that way and not around the outside of the full path and the curb of the path. Anyway, so here's the story. This is the second time I'm recording this episode because I started recording it initially and I don't know, I had a little mishap. I spilled a drink, so I paused my recording and I was just gonna come back to it and keep recording, but for some reason I'm a dummy and I accidentally stopped my recording instead of pausing it, and then, or I might have paused it originally, but instead of unpausing it, I stopped the recording. I'm not sure which is which, what happened, but either way, the end result was that I spent another 15 minutes talking when my recording software was not recording at all, and then I just had a really awkward cut, and I didn't want to go back and have to listen to what I had said last when I initially stopped the recording, because I frankly just didn't want to do that. It makes the recording sound really choppy and disjointed if I do something like that. So, we only got about 10 minutes left of speed build footage, and then we're gonna jump into the cinematic for this building. And I think I'm gonna leave you right here because my voice does not want to talk anymore. I recorded another voiceover before that one too, so I think I've been talking for like maybe an hour and a half straight. So I think yeah, I'm gonna leave you, as I usually do, with some relaxing music, some chill vibes, and please stay tuned at the end of this video for the cinematic of the lounge, and then at the end of part 3 of the Capybara spa, which will come out in about a week and a half. And then you can enjoy all the capybaras at the spa. So, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Until then, bye!